G'day fellas and welcome to your Age of Empires 4 Season 5 update review. We are here about to go through the notes that have just dropped live. I'll leave a link down in the description if you want to go through them yourselves, but let's get to it because it is time to talk about Season number 5. We're turning up the heat in Season 5 with Map Monsters Summer Party Edition, Scout the Land and Scour the Sea in search of the elusive wild man and mysterious dragon turtle in our summer party event. Start a match off strong in Empire Wars, a new quick-to-action game mode where players start with a burgeoning empire of pre-built buildings and villages already tasked to resources. But that's not all. We've packed this update with loads of new content and features ready for you to dive in starting June 15th. That's very, very soon. That's only a couple of days. So if you're watching this thing, nope, you gotta get your feet wet. Let's dive in. So the highlights: 3 new maps: Golden Heights, Migration, Volcanic Island. Start of rank season number 5, bringing in new rewards and new map pool, which is wonderful. Team voice chat. Watch out. Visual upgrades, new trade updates, and new unique options for every single civ. Additional support for mods, and a whole lot of bug fixes and balance changes. There are no new civilizations, I can tell you that much, because I know some people were expecting it. That is not happening, but we got Empire Wars, and we got monsters, right? We're like, where are they? There they are. We got some monsters, so let's get into it. Let's take a look at it. So, there be monsters. So, map monsters are making a splash. I don't know what that means. The first villager to approach the wild man or fishing boat to near the dragon turtle will receive a special boon, a permanent and significant increase to its gather rates. Are we gonna see? Please tell me this is gonna be in like the ranked games. I just want to be seeing like a 1v1 between Marine Lord and Beastie, and it's like, oh look, Marine Lord approaches the wild man, and oh there you go, his villager got a 10% gathering bonus. Like, what? It's got to be custom games, right? There's no way that's actually happening. But anyway, I think it's only the single villager. But anyway, we can see the brand new artwork. Let's keep diving down. Some new portraits, new coat of arms, a new monument. Check out that one right there. Straight out of the Harry Potter School of Slytherin. And we got some new challenges as well. So, plenty of cool stuff. Ranked Season 5. Look at that. Look at that right there. I feel like, has that picture not loaded all the way? I feel like there's a little bit of space down here that it should still be loading, but it's not loading, so I'm just going to assume it. So, Ranked Season 5. So, we've got brand new monuments. We've got brand new icons for you, for all you conquering aspiring players out there, and of course the map pool. So let's take a look at the map pool. I'm going to be doing an assessment on the map pool. So we've got Boulder Bay, that's a downvote. We've got Dry Arabia, upvote. Golden Heights, Hideout, High View, okay. Hill and Dale, okay, all right. Marshland, okay. The Pit, okay. Volcanic Island, I don't know what it looks like, so I'm gonna have to reserve judgment on that. Overall, I don't think this is too bad. I think this is good, right? Like, you've got your open maps Dry Arabia Hideout, or rather Dry Arabia High View. There's no Lipany here, which is interesting. And it's kind of curious that they put Hideout in there, so that's a really good Rus map, and like, just an incredible Rus map. No civilization even comes close to the Rus on that map. The Pit, yeah, it's nice to have that back. Hill and Dale, it's going to be good to have Hill and Dale back. I mean, this is exciting. Let's check out the ranked map pool. But I think overall for 1v1, I'm optimistic about this rank pool. It could be worse. It could be worse. Let's just say that much. So let's move on to the team ranked map pool. So Boulder Bay, again. Danube River, don't like that. Dry Arabia, okay, good. French Pass, High View, good. Lipany, good. Hill and Dale, good. Marshland, good. Volcanic Island, I don't know, but this seems pretty good, right? Like, I'm not too sad about this. Now, I guess one question is, for 1v1, Boulder Bay is a water map. Golden Heights technically has a little bit of water. Marshland, Volcanic Island has water, but I can basically play no water maps if I want to. I can downvote all of those water maps. That's good. That's good. I don't want to have too many water maps that I can't downvote. What is going on with my images? Now, I know for a fact that there is more to this image than what meets the eye. I don't know what's happening with my browser. I don't know what's happening with this website, but I suspect this image should be much bigger than this. Am I on dial-up? I feel like I'm downloading adult images from 2006. We're gonna have to, you guys are gonna have to sit back for this one. All right, let's keep on going. So Empire Wars, you guys will be familiar with this if you've watched any Age of Empires 2 at the Rebel Wallalol. But if you haven't, basically the way it works is you start off with a whole bunch of villages, a whole bunch of buildings, and you just get into the game. I actually like it. I think it's really fun. One of the things I liked about this was team game Empire Wars seems really cool. It's just non-stop action. And, you know, sometimes people don't like non-stop action, but for me, I enjoy it, right? Like, it's constant battle, constant micro, the real test of skills. So you'll be able to choose your Empire Wars mode in here under the game modes. Start conditions, as you can see, you start off with a whole bunch of buildings, and we've got our 3 new maps. So Golden Heights, you should be familiar with that one. Migration, which has got while initially safe, players must soon migrate to more prosperous lands for both space and resources, and then Volcanic Island. With stone scattered around in the shallows, the once fire-breathing mountain has since overgrown with lush vegetation and now awaits to be conquered. So Volcanic Island is the one that's in the 1v1 map pool, if I remember correctly. Can we just go up and double check? So we've got it here, Volcanic Island, and it's also here in the 1v1. So it's in 1v1 and team. So they're confident that this map is going to be good. So we'll have to see exactly how it goes. New feature, team voice chat. This is a little bit scary. There's a part of me that's tempted to do a series with team voice chat. You know, we did basically the solo queue conqueror. So what does that mean? That's like, I'm playing team games, but I'm playing them by myself and just playing them with random people. I feel like this kind of changes that up, because we stopped that series after, well, there was a couple of things going on, I'll say that much, but there's a good chance that we renew that series now that we've got the option to have voice chat. So maybe we go undercover. I reckon we could have like an undercover drongo, and I'll have voice chat enabled. Maybe I don't talk, or maybe I do talk, but I think that'll probably, you know, the jig will be up as soon as I open my mouth, but I reckon we could do something like that. Performance upgrades, improved terrain rendering, wonderful, and new ambient occlusion, great. Improved directional light shadows, and improved material specular response. I've always wanted a material specular response improvement, so I'm glad that we finally got it. Of course, there's an update to trade, so for anybody who doesn't know how it works, let me explain it. I'm sorry for the flashbang. I can appreciate you guys have all just had your eyes blown out, but let me try and just because you're going to need to understand it, okay? And it's important that we get this out of the way, just so that there's no questions about it. Let's just get straight into it. So you've got the neutral trading post at the top. I'm going to put that down here. That's TP. That's a terrible TP. I'm going to write it again. TP, trading post, not toilet paper, TP. And over here is your market. Okay, now what people used to do is they would put their markets here, and they would rally the traders to the trading post and then down to the market. And then that would give them the full trade gold, and then they would just go back and do their trip. But essentially, that would cut your first trip in half, and that would change how quickly your trade will pay off. Now, the way that it works is every single time your trader touches one of these two things, they're going to be getting in gold, and that gold is dependent on how far they've come. So if this market makes a trader and it comes out here, it gets 85 gold. And then when that trader comes back, 85 gold, and then back again, 85 gold. That's the way that it works. And if you make a market right here, you're only going to be getting 0 gold, 0 gold, 0 gold. That's essentially it. So the reason why they've done this is to nerf the trade trick, which was something that obviously was used quite a lot at the high level. This is an interesting change. It is overall a nerf to trade if you're using the trade trick, but I still think it's actually a bit of a buff to trade. And I know that might seem crazy, but essentially my argument is that if your traders are dropping off their gold more frequently, that when they die, that they are going to be dying with less resources, essentially, which is a good thing. But anyway, that's a complex argument, but we'll keep on moving. Unique options for every single civilization, unique units, and technologies are major factors that make civs feel different from each other, so we're adding even more. I like it. 4K HDR video pack, wonderful. Platform update, Steam achievements now probably display progression status on the Steam platform, great. And thank you to our pup players. That's me. That's me. It's probably a fair few of you guys as well. So gameplay, AI updates. I know that there's a lot of people who love to play against the AI, myself included. So they've gone through and fixed a whole bunch of bugs for the AI, which is always great. You know, I dream of a day where the AI plays at least as half as good as what a human can play. I don't think that that's going to happen, not until we've got, you know, open AI on board. But there'll be a day. Look, they're doing well. Look at all these updates. And once again, if you want to see these, if you want to dive into it, I'll leave a link down in the description to where you can go through these notes. Hotkeys. Hotkey improvement. Double press hotkey combos are now triggered after the second press of 2 single. I don't know what that means. Previously, the double press would in some cases trigger between the. I don't know what any of this means, but I'll be honest. It's 3:40 in the morning. I'm a little bit tired at the moment. and this is too complex for me to go through when I'm just looking at it like that. So I'm just going to move on to the next one. Added a new hotkey to cycle through individual landmarks. Cool. Mouse wheel scroll up and down can now be used as a key. Okay. Camera zoom in and out can now be bound to a key instead of or in addition to the mouse. Cool. And a bug that prevented key combos assigned to a modifier without any other key from working without a restart of the game has been fixed. Awesome. Masteries have been fixed, so they've fixed a whole bunch of other stuff. UX and UI and menus. You can now exit villages build menus by hitting the escape key, hitting right click, or hitting a dedicated custom hotkey, which is pretty cool. Instead of displaying no result for matches going through an arbitration process, we now display the final result in the match history screen when established. That is great to hear. Fixed an issue where starting units are counted as double in the post-game timeline. I did notice that, actually. Units defeated count in the post-match screen will exclude player-defeated units, and we've updated the frequency at which the UI will calculate resources gained per minute, leading to more accurate values. Really good, because it definitely didn't update accurately previously, so that's good. Still, we've got plenty of things to do, and keep in mind, there's a lot of changes that we're going to be looking through right now. Like, we're going through all of these, and you can see we've got gameplay, maps, mods, balance, and bug fixes. That's the meat and potatoes down there. We got a long while to go. I don't think you can see we're barely even halfway through this bad boy. This is going to be a long video. If you haven't got your drink already, go get it. I'm kind of tempted to just pause you guys right now and go get myself another Red Bull, because this one is this can is empty. So anyway, so UI, where are we? An improvement has been made to the observable games browser to make it easier to find the games you want. It has. It's actually really good now. Coat of arm patterns now fill the entire space of their associated banner. Players can now easily view other players' profiles directly. Yes, that's wonderful. Players can no longer leave a party while in a match lobby or while searching for a match. And notifications are now displayed in front of modal menus. There's a whole bunch of things in here, so I'm just going to keep moving on because I really want to get down to that meat and potatoes. I want to see if they've made any other changes, because remember, this is something that I learned, I think it was on Season 3. I went through the Season 3 patch note. It was like the pup notes, basically. And I read it all, and I memorized it all, and then when Season 3 rolled around, I didn't even read the patch notes, because I assumed it would be the same as the pup notes. It wasn't. There were new changes in there, and I was completely taken aback by it. I was like, I did not expect this. So now I've just kind of got to the point where I don't tie myself to the pup notes, I tie myself to the patch notes. And that's what we've got. That's why I'm reading it, and that's why I'm loving it right now. So general map changes. The variation of different trees has increased in some biomes. Added missing straggler trees on hideout wetlands. Well, beautiful. That's a good, I like that. Straggler trees are so important, right? And having variable straggler trees really hurts a lot of your options in the early game. Like on maps like Prairie, where your stragglers are so far away, my TC would come down like 30 seconds later. And that ain't Falco. Map-specific changes. We're not going to go through it because it's Archipelago, Black Forest, Four Lakes, Hill and Dale. The large gold and the large stone at the player's base have been removed. No, Hill and Dale's terrible. Get it out of here. I do like this though. This makes sense, right? Like you want people to. Literally my strategy against the Holy Roman Empire on this map was to let them have the relics, let them go Imperial, and I stay in my base and just eat my large gold. that was it, and it worked. It worked. Prairie adjusted the sacred sites, warring islands, waterholes, wetlands. We're not worried about it. We move on. Mod download update for custom lobbies. We made it easier to see the status of modded matches in the lobby by adding indicators on the left side of a player's name. This shows the status in the lobby for the mods required, whether they have blocked user-generated content, a pending consent to download a missing mod, or if they have all the required mods. This was a funny one. You just have somebody who's blocked user-generated content and joins a mod lobby. Funny. All right, balance and bug fixes. We finally made it. The meat, the potatoes. We're 14 minutes through, and we finally got here. So let's go through it. Fixed being able to build stone walls through stone towers when connecting to an existing stone wall. Okay. Fixed a rare case where defensive structures would stop firing at visible targets within range. Good. That is an annoying bug. Improved visibility around sacred sites by updating the UI to prevent units from being blocked from the player's view. Clap, 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 clap. Now, if they could just make it also for caster mode, that would be wonderful, because it wasn't in the pup. Trees no longer block the cursor when garrisoning into buildings behind them. Wonderful. Fixed a bug where straggler trees would sometimes not be removed when buildings were placed on top of them. Interesting. Villagers now properly switch weapons to a knife from a crook. And as a follow-up fix to the previous health bar setting optimization work, wild animal health bars are improved to better reflect players' expectations. Okay. So fix an issue where portions of the minimap were not clickable after it's rotated. That was annoying. That's really good. Production sounds are functioning now in all landmarks, and rank season name is now localized. Fixed an issue where long win condition descriptions on mods would block players from changing win condition options. Can we get a fix in for fixing an issue where long win conditions block my screen? Dude, it's been 2 years that this game has been out, and I still have a giant fucking thing on my screen that's telling me that I have to capture sacred sites. Get it off my screen, dude! I don't need to see it! Oh my lord, that thing takes up like 25% of the screen. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about this thing in the top left-hand corner. Look at this. This is absurd. Surely you can just make this... It just needs to be a couple of little things on the screen. And it might not seem like a big deal, but at the end of the day, when you know, you've got valuable monitor space and you're trying to tidy up your UI, like, look at this thing. Get it out of there. I mean, it's not that big. It's really not that big. You're making a mountain out of a molehill, Drongo. Shut it down. All right, let's go back. All right, trade update. We've already talked about the trade update, so I'm just gonna move on past it. Balance and gameplay changes all civilizations. So there's a new technology. It's called Spyglass. It's available from the stables, and it's only in the Imperial Age. It increases the line of sight of scouts. So scouts no longer gain extra line of sight as you age up. Spyglasses has unique, remappable hotkeys. Wonderful. Outpost landmarks. So your Barbican, Kremlin, Saharan Trade Network cannot be built within 8 tiles of enemy landmark town centers. So it can be built within the 8 tiles of any other town center, just not the landmark town centers. Which sucks. Which sucks for people who like to Barbican Rush. For the people who don't like being Barbican Rushed, congratulations. You have well, you're gonna be much happier. Let's just say that much. Anyway, we've got a change coming through to lightweight beams as well. I guess now that we're at the balance stage of this, what we can do is start talking about, you know, my thoughts about it as well. Obviously, we can just go through the notes, but I want to talk about how I'm feeling about these notes as well. So I like this change. This is good, right? There's nothing worse than a new player coming, you know, playing Age of Empires 4, they're getting into it, and then all of a sudden, 5 minutes into the game, someone walks into their base with a Barbican. And the person with the Barbican maybe lost like 14 villagers building that Barbican, but still that person on the defense is like, that's it, man. I can't do anything. Great change. Really good for new players. I like that. Lightweight beams. Cost increased. So this is really good because Rams are very good in the late game. So good stuff. Research time increased. Palisade gate health decrease, so it brings it in line with the Palisade wall. Wonderful. Units standing on walls that idle aggro will no longer leave the safe walls to chase enemy units. Great change. All defensive buildings attack radiuses are now made visible to any player when selected. So that is a great change as well. Makes it a lot easier to skirt around the edges, so very, very nice. And monks can now heal any injured friendly units nearby while patrolling, which is wonderful. So if you've got a nice big army, just get that bad boy patrolling and he'll cover everybody. Heal and inspire abilities can now be queued from the command card and naval updates. Okay, here we go. Armored hull tech has had the cost reduced. The research time is reduced. So this is an interesting change. So essentially why this is interesting is because it creates a little bit more skill expression on the water, because now instead of what ship am I going to make, it's am I going to go age 3? Am I going to look to try and get armored hull, especially now that the research time has been reduced, because this is essentially your veterancy upgrade. I like this change. I think this is quite a smart change, actually, because now that all of a sudden there's a little bit more depth, pardon the pun, to water play. Naval ships under attack move orders will now continue along the shortest path to their destination after destroying a target. Arrow ships now target the center of enemy ships correctly. This improves the arrow visuals and communicates when they hit or miss better. And sprinkled ships now probably target and shoot enemy ships that are close by. Increase the sprinkled ships bonus damage versus buildings from 45 to 55. I was going to say, I don't know why this has happened, but let's have a look. When looking at this unit's damage versus a dock relative to its resource cost, the time was too long. Okay, the time was too long for what? To kill the dock, I guess? We've increased the bonus damage to make sprinkled ships destroy all buildings faster. Okay, cool. All right, well, let's get into the Civ-specific changes. It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. The Abbasid dynasty have got a brand new unit called the Ghulam. It's a fearsome warrior who boasts a double strike that will chew through any unarmored units, but it's less effective against enemy knights and men-at-arms. So it deals 2 quick attacks. So the damage has been decreased, so 12-14 down to 10-12. So when you see these numbers, these are Imperial Age and Castle Age numbers. So Castle Age and Imperial Age, Castle Age, Imperial Age. So a reduction of 2 damage, but they get double attacks now. And the attack speed has also been changed. So you can see that it's 1.63 for the full double strike, whereas before it was 1.38 for the single strike. The cost has been increased as a result of this. So an extra 20 food, an extra 10 gold that you're going to have to pay for these bad boys because they are now a cool unit. Move speed has also been increased. Like this is just a unit that is balling out of control right now. And big health increase as well, 195, 225. Remember that the Abbasid dynasty have also got things like military, boot camp, which is the unique upgrade that increases the amount of health that their infantry get. So this is a pretty nice stack on top of that. So the train time has also been increased to reflect the new cost. And we've also deals 15 damage on a charge attack. So these guys get a charge attack as well. That's cool. So overall, I like the idea that the devs are going with in making civilizations more unique. I don't think you want to go to the extent of like Age of Empires 3, where you have civilizations that are just wow. I do like the fact that it's similar. It's kind of a mix between AoE 3 and AoE 2, in that AoE 2, every civ is the same, except like they just change a number. Or I know all the AoE 2 guys are just going to get so offended by that, but it's like, sorry, bro, like, come on. When I say like changing a number, it's like, do they have access to this tech? No. Okay, change it to a 0. Do they have access to that tech? Yeah, change it to a 1. Do they have access to that unit? No, change it to a 0. That's what I'm talking about, right? Like, and obviously, unique units, let's not go there. But you get the point, right? We're moving to more unique stuff, which I definitely support. House of Wisdom. Looks like we have got corrected help text reference to proselytization instead of faith. And preservation of knowledge tech. So just some bugs. Camel rider cost changed. Wait, what? Excuse me? So the 180... Oh, no. This was in before. I remember now. 180 food, 60 gold down to 160 food, 30 gold, 30 wood. So they made it a flatter cost, so it's easier to afford. It removed long firing delay on camel archers, so now you can micro your camel archers much easier. I do like that a lot. Camel rider shields and camel rider barding techs are now tier upgrades and share the same UI slot at the stables, which is really cool. Teak mask technology. They actually reduced the cost of camel rider shields, so they're making camel riders stronger, which is good, right? Like you want to make the weaker unit stronger. Definitely good. Teak masks tech has also had its cost reduced. They are buffing Abbasids like really, really hard this patch. And Imam. So created a more subtle scaled down version of the conversion sound for single target conversions. Instead of it being like wololo, it's like wololo, wololo, wololo. That's the actual voice line. Imams with proselytization upgrade will no longer try to convert an enemy that has already been converted. That's a good change. The Chinese. Reusable barrels reworked into additional barrels. So before, you can see, no longer reduces the cost of Nestor Beasts. Before it was like a 25% reduction. It was amazing. But Nestor Beasts now receive an additional 1 rocket volley per volley. So they do 8, if I remember correctly, 8 volleys. So now they're going to do 9 volleys. So it's an increase in like, what is that, 12.5% damage? Not bad, not bad. Cost increased. Oh, so this is the cost of the tech has increased from 150, 350 to 200, 500. So not a bad little upgrade. Remember, they also get chemistry, which increases their damage by 20%. So now you've just is it 20%? I think it's 20%, right? So now you've got 20% plus the 12%, which adds on to each other. So yeah, nice stuff. Imperial Palace and Spirit Way landmarks are now tax drop-off locations. Absolutely love this as an ex-China main. Tax is one of those things that as the game goes on, you know, it's mainly like your town center, your Imperial Academy, and that's it. There's nothing else. So these are great. In that regard, because you can now build your production buildings forward, and you can put your Spirit Way next to it, and then you can actually just collect the tax right there, which is great. Barbican nerf, we've seen that one already, and the Zhuka cost has been changed. So from 20 food, 30 gold, 30 wood to 30 food, 20 gold, 30 wood. So this is an interesting one. It's definitely a nerf because food is by far the hardest resource to get as China. Not hardest, but it's the resource that you need most of. Normally because your town centers are just pumping so many villages out. But it means that you're going to have to transition a farm sooner when you're doing strategies like this, or you're going to have to move out onto the map sooner if you're using Zhuka. So I don't think I don't think this really nerfs the Zhuka a huge amount. but it definitely does hurt. It's objectively a nerf, so I think it is definitely the right thing. All right, Grenadier. Damage decreased from 13 to 10. Damage type changed from range to siege, which now ignores armor. So while the damage has gone down from 13 to 10, think about like the damage that you would do to a knight, as an example. A knight has got, in the Imperial Age, depending on the civilization, anywhere between like 9 and 11 armor, which meant that the Grenadiers did nothing to them. Now all of a sudden, they do 10 damage. Beautiful. Lovely. That's exactly what I want to hear. Make the Grenadier great again. Make Grenadier great again. Mugga. You guys want to buy a Mugga hat? Nah, I'm not selling them. Bonus damage versus buildings reduced from 65 to 20. Wonderful. They were already amazing at killing buildings, and I'm sure they're still going to be really good. Fire Lancer. Torch damage reduced from 36-40 down to 30-34. Good change. Once again, really good change. I support this. The Fire Lancer is a noob killer. A lot of people at the lower levels, don't know how to deal with the Fire Lancer, so this is a great change that kind of helps that, because it means they're going to kill things slower. Beautiful. Palace Guard cost increased. Hold on, corrected an issue where the incorrect value of reload drills was displayed. Okay. Palace Guard, wait, didn't reload drills get... No, that was reusable barrels. Reload drills is the bombard upgrade. Palace Guard cost increased from 100 food, 20 gold to 100 food, 25 gold. So Palace Guard gets a nerf. So that's going to be it. So overall for China, obviously there were big buffs for the Abbasid dynasty. If I was going to say, if anything for China, they've nerfed them. I mean, with the exception of like the Grenadier, which is great for that 1 in 65 games that I go to, I was going to say the Tang Dynasty. That's not... I mean, if you're going to the Tang Dynasty in 1 of 65 games as China, you're not having a good time. The Ming Dynasty, it is very rare that you get to the Ming Dynasty. This change, I feel like it doesn't do a huge amount to it. And if you call this a buff, which it is, it's not a very meaningful buff. Otherwise, it's a nerf on Palace Guard cost. It's a nerf on Jukunu cost. It's a nerf on Barbican of the Sunrush. It's kind of... It's a nerf on reusable barrels. Reusable barrels was objectively a crazy good tech, reducing the cost of your Nesta Bees down. Arguably the worst civ in the game just got nerfed even harder, which is interesting. It's an interesting direction by the devs. I'm not going to be playing China anytime soon. I love the civ. I miss the civ, and I want to make China great again. But it's definitely not going to happen season 5. Sorry to all of you China fans out there. Delhi Sultanate, let's get to it. Horseman, renamed Ghazi Raider. He uses a mace in combat. His cost has been increased quite a bit, so an extra 10 food, an extra 10 wood, and the HP has also been increased to match that. The damage has been increased significantly. Look at this, 12, 15, 18. So now instead of doing 9 damage, you're doing 12 in the Feudal Age. That's a lot of damage. And on top of that, you also get bonus damage versus heavy, and they also decreased the attack speed. So when the number goes up, it's technically a decrease, and also the train time has gone up slightly to reflect the higher cost. I love this change. Now, this doesn't look like it's changed much from the pup, so I'm very familiar with it. But what this does is it means that the Delhi Sultanate now become almost like the French, in that you can stay in the Feudal Age for much longer because you can deal with armored units now. You can effectively deal with men-at-arms. You can effectively deal with knights. I say effectively. I'm curious to see exactly how these guys are going to trade against knights, but I suspect it's going to be pretty effective just because, they've got the health buff, so they're pretty close to a knight now. I think, what's a knight in the Feudal Age? 170, 180 health, so they're pretty close on that. Obviously, when it comes to damage, it's not, 14 damage here against a knight, which is like, 21, 22, 23, something around that region. So still a little bit low on that, but I'm confident that they will stack up well against them. So I like this a lot. Compound of the Defender Landmark. Help text now clarifies technologies bypass age requirements. Dome of the Faith one as well. Civ descriptions now states the 50% bonus HP on their fishing ships. I did not know this. I genuinely did not know this until I read this in the pup notes recently. So this is good. Elephants. While they're as big as boats, elephants are no longer attacked by dock emplacement arrows. Updating the targeting priority of elephants to prefer units over buildings. And the war elephant, they've changed the way that it works. So basically, it's got a new DPS calculator. It does melee damage now, with less damage against buildings. But it also has a higher attack speed. So this is interesting. In that, as far as I'm aware, this will mean that you're now affected by armor. And towards the later game, armor is going to become a big factor. So I think this might be a nerf. I'd have to double check though. And by the same token, it looks like the same thing has happened for the tower elephant as well. So interesting that the Delhi is that really the Delhi late game getting nerfed? Interesting. So scholars will no longer be selected first when cycling through building selections. Great. Sanctity technology gold income bonus reduced from 50% to 25%. Whew. Not a good time to be a Delhi main. You guys get a new unit, but you get a huge nerf. Is it justified? I mean, maybe, probably. Sanctity is a very strong tech, and the Delhi Sultanate only have one way to play, and it is Sanctity. If you don't play Sanctity, you don't win as Delhi. Let's see what the dev said. Sanctity can create very binary games where the Delhi player has 3 sacred sites and a gigantic advantage, or no sacred sites and is far behind. We reduced this delta in power and gave them the Ghazi Raider to create a more balanced power curve in the feudal age. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. But I think irrespective, it's still going to create binary, or not binary games, but linear games. Like, what other goals what else can Delhi do? I mean, there was one game I watched of Salami like a year ago where he went fast castle against the Holy Roman Empire and just stole all the relics. Other than that, I've never seen another Delhi strategy ever come out. It's literally impossible. I guess we do have village fortresses now, so that's always an option. All right, next one. English. Overall, though, with the Delhi changes, I like the Ghazi Raider a lot. I think this is a wonderful unit. I'm curious about the elephant changes, and I understand with the Sanctity tech. I mean, to be honest, I'd probably even like change the Sanctity tech just to make it... it's so hard, man. It's so hard. Like, it's such a game-breaking technology. I say game-breaking. It's not really game-breaking, but, you know, I feel like every single Delhi player has to play around this, and if they don't, there's just no chance that they win. So, anyway. English. Campfire ability moved from the longbow to the men-at-arms and no longer requires a research. It also costs 25 wood to deploy, and a maximum of 5 campfires can be deployed at any time. And campfires no longer provide healing. They now provide a 30% sight range increase to units in the area. They also provide some natural sight range if no units are nearby. So just a nice little peek so you can see what the enemy's up to. So I kind of like this. I think we've talked about this before, and I think this will be a big part of late game going with the campfire. I think it's also going to be quite useful in stealth forests. But other than that, it's... I just realized. It says to units in the area. I wonder, does that include buildings? Let's see what the developer note says. The campfire ability wasn't getting much use, and we wanted to revitalize the civilization with a new ability that helps the core roster shine. Instead of providing raw power, this ability has multiple interesting scouting potentials, such as being put in stealth forests or on tall terrain to enhance scout even further. Note that these campfires are also attackable by the enemy and only have 1 health, so they are best used as strategic times. Okay, so it doesn't really tell us if it affects an outpost. I would suspect it probably doesn't, though. But let's keep on moving. Abbey of King's Landmark. So crowning a king has had its cost reduced from 120 down to 100. I like this. Added an ability button for kingly presence on the king, which you can hover to see the range of the healing aura. And the king now heals himself with the aura and fixed a bug with the kingly presence aura radius to match intended size. I love this change. And I think, you know, this is the classic case of trying to make fetch work. We've changed the Abbey of King's Landmark. Now you can now crown a king. Let's make that viable. It started off at 150. No one made it. It went down to 120. Nobody made it. Now it's going down to 100. Let's see if anybody makes it. You got to remember, it's stacking up against the Council Hall. The best, I say the best landmark in the game. One of the best landmarks in the game. You're going to have to make a very compelling argument if you want to contend or contest that. It is so difficult to overcome that. So, you know, next patch, is it going to be a crown a king for 50 food, 50 gold? Is it going to be receive a free king every 12 seconds? what's it going to be? What is it going to take to beat the Council Hall? That's the question. And to be honest, I don't think we know the answer yet. Anyway, Vanguard men-at-arms, melee armor reduced from 3 to 2. Great change. Very, very good change. So now it's got the 3 ranged armor and the 2 melee armor. Means it's a lot more effective at fighting, or rather a lot less effective at fighting against spears, donzos in the Dark Age. It means that you can actually make spearmen against men-at-arms, because you couldn't do that before. Part of the reason why English was so good on hybrid maps was because if your enemy tried to defend their docks with spears, you would just kill them with men-at-arms. So, really good change. Villager hunting bow range increased from 2.875 tiles to 5 tiles. Good change. And armor-clad tech cost increased. Oh, big cost right there. Increase. So, going up by 150 resources. So, quite a bit. So, Wingard footmen now have the proper torch damage for an Imperial Age unit. So, I think overall for the English changes, they're not huge, right? Like, you got the campfire ability. It doesn't really change the way that the English plays. The only thing that's going to happen here is, like, maybe you set up a couple campfires outside your base with a scout inside it, and that's it. And, like, in the Imperial Age, it changes because now all of a sudden your Springalds have got more line of sight, so that's really good. It also helps if you're looking uphill. But still, I don't think it's absolutely massive, right? It's something that will be used, but I suspect it's going to be, you know, it's not very impactful. But we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But yeah, overall, I do like the change with the Abbey of King's Landmark. As I mentioned, you know, it's about making this landmark viable, and they're definitely heading in the right direction. French renamed the Hulk to Warcog. Okay, it keeps the +1 pierce armor, and the cost has been reduced. The total cost is effectively 10% less resources, but realized in food only. So this is definitely, I wouldn't, like, obviously it's a buff, but it's so meaningless, right? Like, you're on the ocean, you've got your fishing boats, you're making your Hulk, you've got 14 fishing boats, you're sitting on 3,000 food. Well, at least my Hulks cost 35 food less. That's a positive. Yeah, that's good. Anyway, we move on. Available in the Imperial Age, there's a new technology called the Merchant Guilds technology. It costs 700 resources. All of your active traders generate 1 gold every 6 seconds. That's cool. That's really cool. And it's affected by the French economic technology discount. That's also cool. And it's available at the Royal Institute. That's really cool. So let's just do some quick math here, right? I'm going to take you in. Let's look at the French bonuses just to get an idea. So French have 30% cheaper economic technologies. And on top of that, the the Royal Institute reduces the cost by a further 30%. Now, I don't know if those two stack. I don't know if this is 60% cost or what it is. But boy, oh boy, that thing is going to cost barely nothing if you go for the Council Hall. Or sorry, for the Council Hall, for the Royal Institute. So that is something that is very, very interesting to me. Because French trade is back, baby. French trade is back. And you can see some really strong synergies here, perhaps with the Chamber of Commerce. So who knows whether we start seeing, you know, the classic Chamber of Commerce, Royal Institute build order, as pioneered by Donati probably. Yeah, I do like this a lot because merchant guilds seems like a pretty cool tech. I mean, if we were going to math that out right now, okay? If we take a look at an old trade route, I'm pulling out the calculator, I'm pulling out the notepad right now, just because I want to do it. So if it's 1 gold every, let's make that a bit bigger. So 1 gold every 6 seconds. So it means that 10 gold per minute. And we know that a trade route is 164 gold per trip. And we know that it takes 3 minutes and 7 seconds per trip. So if we go 164 divided by 187, it tells us that we're making 87 gold, or 0.87 gold every second. And if we times that by 60, we're making 52 gold per minute with our traders. So that takes us from 52 gold to 62 gold per minute. Which, it's not huge. It's not massive, but it is a trickle. And a trickle's much more, it's a lot more powerful then a big stack of gold coming into your inventory or your bank every minute or two. So I think that is good, but it's still going to be nowhere near as powerful as, say, like the extra 40% that you get from trade bags as the Ottomans, or the extra gold that you get from your outposts or your toll outposts as the Malians. So there are more technologies that are superior, or bonuses that are superior, but this is still a pretty cool tech. I'm curious whether it says active traders. If I put a whole bunch of traders in behind my walls and wall them in, and I just right click on a trading post, does that just give me a whole bunch of gold generating every 6 seconds? And granted, that's not going to be a lot, right? Like 10 gold a minute is not a lot. A villager, a basic villager, like your basic baseline villager, collects 40 gold every minute. And you might be thinking, yeah, but Drongo, this is the Imperial Age. All the gold on the map's gone. So, you know, it's infinite free gold. And I'm not doing anything. I just have these guys in my base. It's like, yeah, but you're losing a population spot as well. That's not really that effective. So, anyway, let's move on. Long guns technology. Damage bonus increased from 10 to 15% for gunpowder ships. And now also increases bonus damage. Moved to Imperial Age. And the cost has been increased as well and added to the Royal Institute landmark. And the Arbitraire gain 1 range while the Pavis is deployed, and fixed a bug where moving after activating ignored ability cooldown. Pavis can now be activated while on stone walls. I love that change. I love this change. The extra range to the Pavis. Like, you did not need to do this. The Arbitraire was already really good. It was an incredible unit. I think what was interesting is that you didn't see a lot of French players really go into them because they didn't need to. But I feel like now you're just going to see... Is this the era of French just going spear Arbitraire? Because Arbitraire will have that extra range, deploy Pavis, and can just hold an area down. And do we just start to see, like, I wouldn't be surprised if you have really good players that just deploy Pavis with, like, the front line of their Arbitraire, and then because the enemy will fall back, and then so they move up, and then they deploy the second line. Like, I suspect that's probably going to start happening, where people will get very good at just deploying the front line of the Pavis shield, because you got to remember, when you deploy the Pavis shield, your ranged armor just skyrockets. I think you go from, like, what is it, like 2 ranged armor in the Castle Age, and you go up to like 10 ranged armor or something like that. It's probably not that high. It's like 7 or 8. But the point is, 8 ranged armor against an archer. Think about that for a second, right? Like, because what is the counter to an Arbitraire? There's technically 3 counters. Number 1, horsemen or knights. Even though Arbitraire do pretty good damage against them. Number 2, mangonels. Doesn't change that. And number 3 is just archers in general, right? The argument is that the archer is cheaper, and therefore you can make more of them, and they trade relatively similarly, but the cost is a lot lower. Well, that's not going to be the case anymore. So now all of a sudden their only weakness is cavalry and mangonels. Okay, well, for cavalry, I'm just going to start making spears, and for mangonels, I can just make springalds. And you've got a real good death combo right now, because these guys will not lose to archers anymore, and that's kind of scary. Well, not that they don't lose to archers, or not that they don't win against archers right now. It's just that extra range really makes them a lot more potent. So I'm looking forward to that, and I really like that. I'm hoping we start seeing like fast castle Arbitraire spam. I really hope that we see it. And honestly, I'm kind of tempted. I remember that one game, I watched a game or I casted a game that was on Prairie, and we had a guy, he went fast castle with the French off 1 TC, and went straight for a keep, so he reduced the cost of his units immediately, and just went into Arbitraire spam. I think it was Arbitraire and Knights, and I loved it. I was so overwhelmed by it, and I reckon that could be good. That could be good, man. Military Academy now increases the production speed of the College of Artillery units, and corrected the keeps help text value of French influence bonus from 25 to 20%. All right. Well, overall, I like the French changes. This one's a bit of a lull. This Merchant Guild's tech is very, very cool. I'm a big fan of that. Long gun tech, lol. But Arbitraire, this is a cool one. I like this a lot. So yeah, love it. Holy Roman Empire. Devoutness and Benediction technologies. Benediction has been removed from the game. No, it was such a cool name. And Devoutness now provides all of those bonuses instead. Corrected issue where the Great Palace of Flensburg Wonder could not use emergency repairs while under the Palace of Swabia landmark influence, and relics are now ejected when docks are destroyed. Well, Giga Chads, sorry. It wasn't much. But technically you got nerfed because you guys lost a technology. But technically it's a buff because now you only have to research one. So that's pretty good. All right, Malians, let's take a look and see what we've got for him. Fort of the Huntress landmark, it now properly has 5 fire armor, and a lingering stealth aura increased from 10 seconds up to 30 seconds, so bit of a big buff there, right? That, like, when you think about it, 10 seconds to 30 seconds, it gives you a lot more options with your stealth, so maybe we see the Fort of the Huntress being used as more than just a keep. Farimba Garrison landmark train speed decreased by 10%. Archer, Donzo, Musafari Warrior train time increased from 22 to 24. Javelin Thrower from 33 to 37. And Musafari Gunner from 52 to 57. So that's pretty big. Because a lot of people will look at that and think, it's not that bad. But you got to remember, right? Like, typically what we see the Farimba Garrison do is go, you know, like, I will age up and I will just spam archers, okay? Well, now, not only are my first archers slow, but every subsequent archer is slower as well by 2 seconds. So that pack of 5, it's 2 seconds later. The next pack of 5, 4 seconds later. The next pack of 5, 6 seconds later. It's not big, but it does start to add up. Griot Bara landmark. Festival durations increase from 30 to 60. Festival cooldown decreased from 60 to 30. So they're buffing up the Griot Bara. I like this a lot. It was a little bit silly before that you've got to pay resources and you only get it for a tiny little bit of time. And on top of that, then the festivals have a cooldown. It's like, I feel like there's too many caveats to this landmark. Saharan Trade Network, we've already seen that one. And Warrior Scout. Finally, Warrior Scout nerfs coming through. I don't know how this didn't get nerfed earlier. Like, to me, it's absurd that we went an entire... This season felt like it went forever. Am I being real right now? Or, like, it felt like it went forever, dude. And the Warrior Scout just chilled out the whole time. Warrior Scout regen. Reduced from 2 to 1.5 in Feudal and Castle. Increased from 2 to 2.5 in Imperial. And reduced the movement speed from 1.88 to 1.75. Veteran upgrade now grants... And they buffed it in the Castle Age. This is not enough. In my opinion, this is not enough. I think that... for anybody who doesn't know, Malians at the top level are by far the most banned civ. I still think they will be the most banned civ. This does not nerf them enough. Yeah, this is... I mean, the Farimba Garrison is nerfed slightly. But it's not much. The Warrior Scouts are nerfed slightly, but it's not much. In fact, you could argue that they're almost buffed with this one. Cattle. Villager cattle gather rate reduced from 0.9 to 0.81. And food gathering tax now applied to the passive income of cattle garrisoned in ranches. And fixed a bug to ensure cattle pop has a display to inform the players there is a limit of how many cattle the user can have. Cattle changes are intended to push players towards garrisoning cattle in ranches in the mid to late game. There you go. Canoe tactics tech decreased. Banco repairs tech effect reduced, which is good because that was absolutely busted. Banco repairs. Crazy good technology. Imported armor cost increased. So just like they increased the cost for the English armor cladding, they've increased it for this, so it definitely makes sense. And updated Civ bonus text to include the research time of veteran unit technologies is reduced by half. I didn't know that either. Corrected an issue where the UI would be hidden after researching poisoned arrows. That was a funny one. And tech tree. Corrected an issue where Age 2, Town Center Siege Tower, and RAM were missing from the tech tree. Okay, so overall, the Malian changes, I don't feel that this is enough. I think this definitely needed to be bigger. Especially for the Warrior Scout. Especially... Yeah, the Warrior Scout just seems so crazy at the moment, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe that's enough to do it. Maybe it's just that little bit of speed reduction will be enough to do it. We'll have to wait and see. All right, well, let's move on to the Mongols. For anybody who doesn't know, in Season 5, I will become a Mongol main, or at least maybe become a Mongol main. Look, I'll probably be a Mongol main. I'm excited by the unit. The new unit, the Keshik. The Mongol Lancer has been renamed to the Keshik. It is available in the Feudal Age. The cost has been decreased from 140-100 to 120-80. The attack has been decreased from all of those numbers to these numbers. And the HP has been decreased as well. The attack speed has been improved. I like that they use the word improved because often you would see attack speed increased from 1.5 to 1.3 and you'd be like, no, that's a reduction in attack speed. But technically it's not a reduction. The way that attack speed works, the lower you are, the faster you attack. So improved is the correct word. Thank you. Please keep using the word improved with regard to attack speed. Heals 3 health each time it attacks. That's correct. We have vampires. We have lifesteal. We are Dota 2 now. Train time has been decreased. And there's a new tech called Step Lancers. It's available in the Imperial Age. It costs 500 resources. And every time you attack with your Mongol Lancer, instead of healing for 3 health, you now heal for 4 health. And it increases your attack speed by 10%. But not only that, you can also have an improved Step Lancers tech, which costs an additional 500 stone, and increases the health that you gain by 2 instead of 1, which means you're now healing for 5, and also gives you an attack speed increase of 15% rather than 10%. Keep in mind that these technologies do not stack. So you only get to have, you can only have one at a time. And if you research the first one, you can research the second one later. But they do not stack. New improved YAM technology, YAM network technology available in the Imperial Age, heals traders 1 health every 2 seconds while within YAM aura, because Mongol trade needed more buffs, apparently. So, I mean, Imperial Age. I mean, to be honest, this doesn't really do much, right? Like, your traders in the Imperial Age are either getting 1 shot or they're dying to knights, and 1 HP every 2 seconds while within YAM aura probably doesn't change too much. You might save like 1 trader every average 6 hours of Mongol game time. Cruelty corrected an issue where it wasn't healing allied units. And the Silver Tree Landmark. Discount and production speed bonus reduced from 50 to 40%. This is a big nerf. And I definitely think it's a deserved nerf. Mongol Silver Tree has been very good lately. Very consistent. Incredibly strong. I like it. I think this is the right call. Khan. The Khan's weapon gains a +1 bonus against deer, wolves, and boar, which allows the Khan to 2-shot deer, which is important when fighting versus Rus players to allow bounty counterplay. I agree. I like this change. I like this change a lot. This is great. Scouting Falcon ability can now be summoned from the range of the players or at the player's cursor location. The cooldown has been reduced, and it can now see over the tops of trees. I like this a lot. This allows a lot of flexibility in the early game. You don't have to run all the way under the TC and then pop the Falcon. You can just kind of be behind the wood line and go, bah! That's my Falcon impression, or at least the sound that it makes. So this is a great change. I love this a lot. Piracy tech, the cost has been reduced, and research time has also been reduced. Already a really strong technology, so this is a very good buff for the Mongols on water. And stone commerce tech, the cost has been increased. The research time has been increased, and so has the improved stone commerce tech cost, which is good, right? Like we want to nerf Mongol trade in the late game. Very, very strong, especially their stone income. Added court architect technology to the Uvu and the White Stupa landmark. So this is an interesting one, right? So that's an extra 30% health on your buildings. Mongols they don't really have the strongest buildings, so I guess this makes a lot of sense, right? Like they don't have access to the keep, they don't have access to fortify or to stonify their outposts. So I think that this is a pretty good change. Packed buildings. Gur stepped out pasture. Pack time reduced from 5 to 1 second. I love this. I think this is really, really cool because there is nothing worse than waiting for a Gur to unpack and waiting all those 5 seconds. It's kind of frustrating. And fixed a bug where packed buildings were getting repaired at the same speed as siege weapons. They will now be repaired at the same speed as other buildings. And fixed a bug where packed buildings had large minimap icons. I like that one. I always pick that up. It was what one was it that always ran around the mosque, the mosque that the prayer tent. Whenever it would run around, it had this giant icon on the minimap. Glad that that's finally been picked up. New Mangudai icon is added to help players differentiate Mangudai horse archers from other horse archers in the game. Fixed a bug where the light junk wasn't playing a death animation, and improved Military Academy by correcting out-of-date help, text, and values. Fixed an issue where the Mongol AI could gather wood for too long at the start of the match, and fixed issue with the Mongol AI's packed buildings failed to unpack again when relocating. So overall, with the changes that have come through to the Mongols, I'm very happy with them. I think these are absolutely on the money. Brand new unit, the Kashik, a lot of fun. Such a great unit. Yeah, you can heal up when you're sieging things down as well. That's another thing to note. So there's a great synergy there. Think about it from the perspective of a Mongol player, right? You're making all these units. The goal is you want to pillage, you want well, you want to, I'm not going to say the other word, you want to pillage, you want to do as much damage as you can to the enemy villages, and then, you know, maybe you take a lot of damage, you fall back, and you start sieging down a building, and you're going to heal from that. So really nice changes there, and great nerfs to their trade as well. So overall, very happy with these changes to the Mongols. And Ottoman, Twin Minaret Madrasa Landmark, adjusted the initial berry spawn rate from every 20 seconds to every 35 seconds. So now you can just put 4 villages on the landmark, and that's just it. You just get the berries forever with the 4 villages on the landmark. You don't have to rush it anymore. Sipahi, so it has had the cost increased from 110 food, 20 wood to 120 food, 40 wood. So quite an expensive difference here. You might not think it's a lot, but it actually is. They're doubling the wood cost. So it's a significant portion of the unit's cost now. Health has been increased, though, to supplement that. And damage has also been increased. Speed has been reduced, but the attack range has been increased significantly. So now it means that a second row and even a third row of Sipahi can stabby their way to victory, which is really cool. New Great Bombard emplacement replaces the cannon emplacement on keeps. Does it replace the cannon emplacement on outposts, or is it just on keeps? I wonder. I suspect it would just be on keeps, because that's what they've said here. So it costs a lot. 250 gold, 500 stone, takes 60 seconds, and it does 100 range damage with greater area effect, with extra damage versus buildings and extra damage versus ship. I like that so much. I think that's so cool. The Grand Galley now has the gunpowder tag, now moves towards the player. Okay, it's the Grand Galley. Nobody makes these anyway. And that's essentially it. Improve some of the underused vizier points. So field work, healing aura now scales per age to 1, 1, 2, 3, which is big. I do like this. Janissary Company now spawns an additional 2 Janissaries from the capital town center, in addition to the Janissaries at military schools. I like that a lot. And trade bags now also applies to the gold generated by the Sultanate trade network. Kind of an irrelevant thing for trade bags, honestly. Like, if you're in a position to go for trade bags, you're not using the Sultanate trade network's like gold generation. Those bad boys are out on the map trading. So yeah, that's probably how I would think about it. Meta health now scales per age. Instead of being a flat 180, it's now 160, 180, 200. And fix the requirement text of the Ottoman trade bags Imperial Council tech to reference the correct level. Shipping routes now applies to fishing boats. So that's the 10% trader or transport ship movement speed. And tech tree, a couple of corrections. So I think overall for the Ottomans, some interesting changes, right? Like obviously the Sipahi, they've got that extra attack range, so they become a better raiding unit because now they can attack more easily. And this also synergizes very well with their unique bonus, which is the ability to attack faster. Remember, they've always got that fortitude ability ready to go. On top of that, you've also now got access to the Great Bombard emplacement, which is a unique emplacement. And I think this is a pretty funny one. I say pretty funny one, but a pretty cool one. I'd love to have this for my emplacements, right? Just it's so cool to have something like this because it means that if you throw a keep down and your enemy throws a keep down, now all of a sudden you've got a massive advantage because your keep can kill their keep. And that's really cool. So overall, I like the changes for the Ottomans. They're pretty good changes. Let's take a look at the Rus. Rus, hunting cabin. Build speed increased from 40 to 25 seconds. I like this a lot. It is so painful building those hunting cabins early on for the Rus. This is going to change that. So really, really good. Hunting cabins with overlapping auras no longer suffer a penalty to gold income. Instead, trees are claimed by hunting cabins. This means that a tree in an aura of multiple hunting cabins will only generate gold for the first cabin placed. Hallelujah. There is nothing worse than having to delete hunting cabins. So that's great. Gold generation is now fixed to 30-second intervals instead of reducing the interval with the bounty mechanic. Tiers now provide a percentage increase to hunting cabin gold income at each tier. So 10, 25, and 65, which is really big on that third tier. So very important now to get the tier 3 bonus, which arguably makes the high trade house a much stronger landmark now because you want to get that extra 65%. But the thing is, I don't know exactly how much the interval decreased with the tier 3 before, but I can't imagine it being that significant. Global income is capped at 300 gold a minute at tier 0 bounty. With tier 3 bounty, the income caps out at 500 gold a minute for all hunting cabins. 500 gold a minute is an awful lot of gold generated from hunting cabins. I would be surprised at a Rus player who hits that in a game that goes 30 minutes. I don't think you'd hit that. In fact, you would have to really go out of your way to hit that. So I don't think that's a big deal. Hunting cabins now show a tree counter on their UI when built, and the gold kicker text is now visible when cabins generate gold. Adjusted the rate of gold generation using a diminishing returns formula to balance the Civ on maps with densely packed forests. Very, very nice. So it means that they're not going to be as strong as they are on Hideout currently in the new one. And the High Trade House does not contribute to the hunting cabin gold generation cap. Also, it doesn't claim trees or require unclaimed trees to generate gold from nearby trees. So now you can build your High Trade House next to your hunting cabin and they don't cancel each other out. Great change. This makes the civilization a lot more friendly. You don't have the complexities to deal with of, I'm canceling out my other ones over here. Wonderful. Really good change. Knight sabers has been reworked into knight poleaxes. So they swapped the weapon from a saber to a poleaxe. It's purely a visual change. I wonder why. It's got to be something to do with like the new civilizations that are coming through. There's no other way. Like whenever they do little changes like that, like proselytization getting changed or faith getting changed to proselytization, like to me that just says they changed the name of faith because they're introducing a new mechanic or they're introducing a new tech that is going to be named faith, something to do with faith, and they just want to avoid ambiguity in that regard. And I think the same thing is probably happening here. There's probably going to be some new unit that has a saber, so you know they just really want to make sure that is differentiated. That would be my suspicion, right? Like they're not just doing this because somebody sat down in a meeting one day and they're like, look, I've got an axe to grind and it's with the knight sabers tech. I just don't like it. I don't like knights that carry sabers. You know, historically, they didn't carry sabers. They carried pole axes. At least some of them did. And they did a little bit more damage. It's like, no one's doing that, John. Settle down. Anyway, that was a good tangent. Horse archers mounted precision reworked into a new technology called mounted training. Unlocks the gallop ability, causing horse archers to move at maximum move speed with +2 weapon range for 8 seconds. What is maximum movement speed? I think, did we do the test on that? Because maximum move speed, it's such an ambiguous term. I mean, you would think it would be very definite, wouldn't you? Like, maximum move speed. It's not, though. Anyway, interesting. Streltsy, melee damage increased from 50 to 60. Why not? This occurs when a unit engages the Streltsy in melee combat. Okay. No longer has the double time ability. We wanted to further distinguish the role of the Horse Archer and the Streltsy. The Horse Archer is weaker and more mobile. The Streltsy is the slow powerhouse. Cool. All right, fair enough. Kremlin Landmark. No longer gains a ticket upon completion. The first ticket gain occurs after 1 minute. So this nerfs the Kremlin. You're not going to be able to get those free villager kills 1 minute after, or 30 seconds after you age up. So that is very nice. And added a new ability which, when activated, calls all active militia, all available militia to the Landmark Town Center and cannot be built within 8 tiles of enemy Landmark Town Centers. Lodger ships can no longer exceed population cap by converting lower pop cost ships into higher pop ones. That's quite funny. And Castle Watch tech has been reduced from 100 down to 50, and the time is from 30 seconds down to 15. So this is the technology that was at the Wooden Fortress that increased the line of sight by 6 tiles, if I remember correctly. So this is a nice little... wait, is that right? Was it really 100 stone for Castle Watch? That seems a bit expensive. It's a good change. And Wooden Fortress health has been nerfed from 2000 to 1750. So overall, nerfs for the Rus. Well, at least nerfs down here, up towards this top side. Definitely a buff for the hunting cabins. I think overall for the Rus fans are going to be happy with this. If you enjoyed the Rus before, you're going to love the Rus now. If you didn't like the Rus before, you're probably still not going to like them because they make you get those wolves and they annoy me. Anyway, let's keep looking because we now have ongoing ranked rewards. We've heard your feedback regarding the ranked reward system. Currently, rewards are based upon your final standing at the end of the season, which incentivizes some players to stop competing after they've reached a certain rank in fear that they might lose their rewards. Our team is working to change this, such that a player's ranked rewards for a season are based upon the highest rank achieved at any point in the season. This means that players can continue to push themselves forward, or rather towards greater heights without fear of losing out on seasonal rewards. Wonderful. Really good change. Should have been in the first season. It wasn't. Should have been in the second season. It wasn't. I'm going to do all the seasons. Should have been in on the third season. It wasn't. Should have been in on the fourth season. It wasn't. Should have been in on the fifth season. It wasn't. Hopefully, on the 6th season. Oh no, we hope to land this change before the end of Season 5. It's happening. It's happening. However, we have ongoing work to complete and test to ensure full confidence in delivery of this feature. I don't want to get too cynical. You know, it's going to happen. It's going to happen at the end of the video. It always does at the end of the video. And we got axes to grind now. Now I'm starting to get an axe to grind. Like, you've been patiently sitting there watching this video for over an hour. This is the good part. We're about to get good right now. And it's not because of the patch notes, it's because Drongo's angry. We will plan for further updates to confirm when this much requested change will land. Q dodging. We've heard reports of excessive Q dodging in ranked play, when some players will force a disconnect to take a cooldown penalty rather than play a match against their assigned opponents. As we've been monitoring the situation, we noticed a variety of reasons why players might opt to abuse the current system. As such, we are working on a multi-pronged approach to addressing the problem. We won't be letting the cat out of the bag just yet, but want to communicate some of the avenues we're pursuing. Firstly, we are making the above changes to the ranked reward system to remove rank loss as an incentive for dodging relatively even matchups. Hold on, sorry. We are making the above changes to the ranked reward system to remove rank loss as an incentive. Oh, okay, I think I get it. So, basically, they're saying, like, don't be worried about losing. Even if you lose, you're still going to get your rewards, that sort of thing. Okay, cool, okay. Next, while the rank system does an adequate job of finding timely and even matches for the majority of players, it has difficulty finding such matches for players at the far top and far bottom of ELO scores. This has resulted in some uneven matchups where one player has a... Yep, okay, well, we know that. Lastly, we'll also be looking at increasing the penalties related to Q dodging from the current settings. While we would prefer to lure action with incentives and remove barriers, we realize that some players may choose to still dodge their matchup unless we disincentivize that action. Right now, we're in the investigation phase for several of these efforts. Now, the good old Drongo would say, great, you know, that's wonderful. Q dodging is a real problem, and I'm glad that it's getting fixed. It's not happening. I'm not giving you that. You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to tell you right now. I'm a Q dodger. I will dodge Qs all day, and I will continue to dodge Qs. You want to know why? Because I have to play maps I don't want to. I have to play maps that I don't want to play because I don't have the option to pick maps that I want to play. I have to play shitty maps that have got water or that have got stupid layouts, and all I want to do is play Dry Arabia. Age of Empires 2 players get to play Dry Arabia all they like. Why don't I get to play Dry Arabia all I like? And I know that there's people going to be out there that say, well, Drongo, there's more maps than Dry Arabia, and other people don't want to play Dry Arabia, and that's perfectly fine. Let them. Just find me somebody who also wants to play Dry Arabia. I will play the worst Dry Arabia Civ every single day on Dry Arabia because it gives me a consistent environment where I can practice and own my skills in a controlled place where I know that the map seeds aren't going to be terrible, and that is part of the reason why I dodge. Next point, why else do we see dodges? We see dodges because we have a 30-second countdown where I sit there and I stare at my enemy and ask them how their day was. I finish my coffee and then I come sit down at the table and go, oh, my game's about to start. I've been sitting in the lobby for the last 30 seconds. StarCraft 2 doesn't do that. You know what StarCraft 2 does? Queue up for a game, click. Match found. 3, 2, 1, bam. And you start loading in, you get assigned your map, and you see the player that you're up against, and then it goes straight into the game. Why do I have to sit in a lobby for 30 seconds while I decide my color? Give me an option for a preset color. Give me an option for a backup preset color so that if the enemy chooses my color, I get a second color that I'm okay with. Let me pick my civilization. If I want to set a civilization per map, or a civilization, just a single civilization for the whole thing, go for it. If I want to, you know, maybe even just give me 3 seconds or 5 seconds to pick my civilization. I don't need, you should not be able to see who you're up against. I feel so terrible because I've watched Demu's stream and he has gone into dodge after dodge after dodge because people don't want to play against him. And to be fair, why would I want to play against him? I think about it from my perspective, right? I'm a Conqueror 3 player, and I want to climb the ladder. And I jump into the ladder, and if I play against Demu, I have a 99% chance that I'm going to lose. So, do I play the game against him and lose, guaranteed, and waste 30 minutes of my time? Because at the end of the day, you might think it's not wasting, and that, to be fair, you're probably right. It's not wasting, because, you know, the object is to win and to get better, and you would be getting better by playing against Demu. But at the end of the day, I can dodge and go to another map or match and get a player that is not Demuz or Demu, and I will be a lot more likely to win and subsequently rank up. Which at the end of the day is, you know, whether you like it or not, that gives me the dopamine. And that's what I'm here for. So, anyway, Q dodging. There you go. Ranked teams chatting. We've also noticed an increase in ranked teams cheating. We've also noticed an increase in brazen cheating going on in ranked team matches. Our work in this area is ongoing, but please continue to report cheaters either in-game or by reporting them to customer support. These reports are most helpful while we're investigating back-end solutions. As part of user privacy, we do not normally comment on enforcement action taken against specific cheaters, but do know that cheating in ranked can lead to a permanent ban from multiplayer aspects of the game. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. Have you ever played League of Legends? I'm sure there's plenty of you that have. Is there anything more satisfying than logging into League of Legends and you get that wonderful message that says, action taken against somebody you reported. Thank you for keeping the community safe. Oh my god, that's an amazing message. Man, just give me that. Just give me that. That's all I need. That's all I need. Just let me know. Because guess what? When I report one person and one person only and you tell me that I have had action taken against that person, that's all I need to know, baby. You don't need to tell me who they are. You know, it's like that classic case. We had an Australian case here, which was very funny. So basically, there's a law in Australia that says that you can't incriminate your spouse, and there's also a law. That says that if you get a traffic ticket, you have to pass that traffic ticket on to. Basically, you have to declare the person who was driving the vehicle at the time if there's a traffic infringement that's issued. And so there was a lawyer, I think it was in Queensland, Australia, and basically he said, well, look, I'm appealing this traffic ticket on the basis that I cannot legally reveal who was driving the vehicle at the time, but I can tell you it wasn't me, but I can't tell you who it was, and therefore you should review it, or like you should remove the infringement. And they're like, why can't you tell us? And he's like, because I'm not allowed to tell on my wife. Like, that was it. And it's just like, anyway, I don't know why I'm even talking about that or how I got into that. Anyway, let's continue on. Investigation, community reported issues. Your reports continue being crucial to our prioritization and implementation of fixes and features in the game. Keep them coming. Okay, all right. What's on the horizon? Let's go through it, because, I mean, the end of this video is going to go one of two ways, and we'll have to see how it goes. But let's keep looking. Summer login rewards. Summer isn't without its holidays and celebrations. Earn login rewards by signing into Age of Empires 4 on July 1st, July 14th. Okay, summer vacation event. Cool, it's a sandcastle. Woo. Upcoming patch. Disclaimer, subject to change. Okay. You guys might have noticed that there's less videos getting posted on this channel. And that's not because I don't enjoy making content. That's because I don't enjoy playing Age of Empires at the moment. I feel like it's gotten a little bit... for me, it's gotten a little bit boring. And so it's important that I don't burn myself out, you know, making content about a game that I'm bored with. And, you know, whenever you get bored playing a game, naturally you if you're a gamer, you look for other games. And I saw Snooper on Twitch. He was playing another game. And I'd played this game before, but it had been a long time. They've made a lot of changes since then. And this game is a free-to-play game. It is an open source game. And it has so many features that we have been asking for Age of Empires for so long. You have the option to pause. You have the option to reconnect if you disconnect. It's incredible. And it just pains me so much that Age of Empires 4 is now coming up to 2 years release. And yeah, we've seen improvements. Yeah, we got caster mode. But man, it is... I don't know, maybe I'm just being a spoiled brat. But it just feels like it's going so slow. It really does. Anyway, I'll leave it there. That's probably a whole nother video, and I probably set off a whole can of worms right there. But we'll leave it there. thank you guys for watching. If you got any questions, leave them down below. If you got any comments, any feedback, make sure you let me know. And, of course, we'll catch you guys in the next one.